I'm going to tell you a little bit about Marcella Roe. That's our person today that's going to do the demo. She's an award-winning artist. She is a member of the Western Ohio Watercolor Society. She currently is the director of the creative arts at her church, the Dayton Vineyard in Beaver Creek, Ohio. She has enjoyed participating in national plein air paint outs. Her passion is to encourage others to explore their creativeness. She loves to say, try and see. She believes that we all have a creative side that needs to be awakened and creates avenues for others to discover that part of themselves. Her primary medium are acrylic, oil, watercolor, and pastel. She loves to paint what she has experienced, especially her grandchildren and places she has been. She has been fortunate enough to have studied years with several nationally acclaimed artists. Marcella is a pastor's wife, a mom, a grandmother, and a fellow artist. She truly believes Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So let's welcome Marcella Roe.
You know, I am so honored to be here today because I look out here and I go, oh my gosh, all of you guys that are sitting out there are people that I admire and have watched over the years. I mean, I started this journey about 22 years ago. My aunts, I'm an only child, and my mom passed away a long time ago. And I had aunts, elderly aunts, and I had to take care of them because there wasn't anybody. They never had children either. And so I was taking care of my aunts, helping my husband plant churches and pastor churches, doing children's ministry, doing women's ministry. And one day I woke up and said, you know, I need to do something for myself. And so I went back to my childhood, and being an only child, the way that I entertained myself was being creative. So I signed up for Emirate Malagorski watercolor class over at Rosewood, and then I just went on from there. And so I'm a little nervous sitting in front of you guys, so you just, what I have to share today is just something that I have done in the past. So right now I'm really involved in doing oils. I have discovered I've done oils, pastels, acrylic. We paint on stage during a worship service. So if you go to church and there's musicians on the church, that are singing and playing their guitars, well, at our church we believe that artists have a gift and they can use their creativity in order to, create an atmosphere of what's going on in the church, in the worship service. So we paint. There's about 13 of us that take turns and paint at the Dayton Vineyard, and I kind of coordinate that for right now. So what I'm going to show you today is how to do backgrounds, and I'm sure you guys have all seen this. When she called me, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is what she wanted me to do, so I will do this. But let's see. First of all, I want to show you, this right here is kind of what I have done. I did this at a demo. It is on YouTube for the Western Ohio Watercolor Society in October, so you can watch this. But this is sort of what I'm going to do today, only I'm going to do tulips today because I thought it was spring. If you wear it, it will come, maybe. If you paint it, it might come, So anyway, so the first thing that I want to show you how to do is how I make my own liquid watercolor. So I take a tube, and if it's cheap tubes, like $4 and under, I put the whole tube into these. If it's an expensive watercolor, like Winsor Newton or something, I only use about a half because you don't need to. I'm putting it into a plastic bottle, a spray bottle. Hobby Lobby, They're 2 for $3, or sometimes you can get them for 99 cents. So then I use filtered water, and I fill it up about halfway. I've tried the watercolor that's already mixed up, you know, that you're already in the spray things, but they're just so, they're like painting with Crayola watercolors. I have grandchildren, and of course I started my grandchildren out on really good watercolor. And so one time, one of my grandchildren got hold of, somebody gave them a Crayola set, you know, of watercolors. And I set her out, you know, in the back porch, and she was crying. And pretty soon I heard her going, "This is terrible!" And I was throwing it. And I go, "What is wrong?" She goes, "It just doesn't paint." So, you know, I guess as artists spoil our grandchildren. But anyway, that's what I do is I mix it up like this, and it holds. I mean, it works pretty good. You'll see. I use cobwebbing. And cobwebbing that you get at Halloween, you know, that they put over top of the trees and the bushes and stuff like that, and they put their spiders and things on. Well, some cobwebbing does not work. You have to feel it. It has to be rough. I will pass this around so that you can feel it. That's the texture that you want. If you get the smooth kind, it will not work. It has to be the rough kind. No, I get it at any place at Halloween. I buy it up, you know, right afterwards. And I don't know whether Hobby Lobby would have it. Probably not. Probably Halloween store, maybe. But I get it at like Walmart when they're selling out, and you know, you might not get it because I buy it up, but you know. So I use stick pins. This is just regular 140-pound cold press. You can use hot press. Rough does not work. Rough is too rough, and it doesn't want to adhere as well. So either cold press or hot press is what you need to do. So I just pen this. You don't need a whole lot.
Somebody asked, could you use illustration board?
Yes. Illustration board is really good. It's really nice. Now, what I do is, don't tell anybody, but when they leave the, well, you know, I keep an eye out at election time, and I wait a week or so, and if they're not picked up, then, you know, I pick it up for them. That's right. That's right. So I hope somebody never looks at that and says, "Oh, that's my board." Well, you didn't pick it up out of the yard, so. Anyway, so, and you can see, I think you can see how it kind of stretches here. Can you see this?
Yeah. We didn't get that over here. The cobwebbing stuff.
See, I'm stretching the cobwebbing across the board.
This is not going to be a spider picture, though.
No. No, it will be flowers, tulips.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I used in this, in here, there, and up here. See the cobwebbing? It's really pretty amazing stuff. I really like it. Yes, do you have a question?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so now that you have it stretched like this, the secret to it is that you've got to adhere it to the water, or to the watercolor paper. So it must be sprayed with water until it can really saturate the cobwebbing and adhere to the paper, just clear water. I usually, at our place at the vineyard, we have an overhead mirror, so it's pretty easy to do that way, but. So, I used to use a brush, and then I found out, or one of those rollers. This works just as good. How's that?
Yes, because they were blocking.
Yes. Anything else? Just let me know. So this here is not wet enough over here. These really make really fun backgrounds. Here is, here's one that I started with, for the horses. You can use all colors.
So they remain on the paper. You don't take them.
Oh yeah, you take this off when it's dry. Yeah, I'll be doing that. But here's some, you can even make it in different colors if you want to. I did one with a stone wall. Wax paper makes stones, and plastic wrap makes water really cool, really good, because you just kind of manipulate it around. But these are really pretty fun. Okay, so I have that. Now, I'm just going to use the color that I mixed up. See? And this was just a cheap color, Maria's paint. You know who taught me this is Trish McKinney. Do you remember Trish McKinney? Sure. She was the one that got me started on this with her, let's see, it's called Nature's Palette. Remember the Nature's Palette? And she would use leaves. You can use leaves on this, you can use flowers, but they need to be porous. Like magnolia leaves does not work, or anything like waxy, it doesn't work. So oak leaves work really good, something that's porous, and you can put them on. Since we didn't have any, I didn't get out to do much in this. So I didn't bring leaves this time, but trust me, you can put leaves, flowers. I actually have one painting that I sold that has the flowers still stuck to it because I couldn't get it off.
It was a collage.
It was. It's called mixed media, right? Didn't say what kind of media it has to be. Look, this is Payne's Gray. I love it. So I'm just spraying.
Environmentally.
It's water and watercolor.
Okay.
So, if you get, I'm sure that you can get cadmium-free watercolor. I think they make it now. So.
You need to wear a mask to do that.
Oh, never have. Maybe that's my problem. We're artists, okay? So anyway, here you go. Here's this. Now I'm going to show you what wax paper or plastic wrap. The thing about covering it over with plastic wrap is that it takes longer to dry because it seals it in. But it makes it kind of fun.
And you have an image in your mind as you're spraying, or you're just spraying another can?
I have no image on this one. What I will do is that I will take some of my old starts like I just did one of my friend's daughters had a miscarriage, and she wanted a painting painted for Shiloh. So I went through some of my old stuff, and I picked out some pictures of a little boy walking, you know, and I'll show you how to cut it out. You know, so this one will maybe end up being, I don't know. I have a really cool picture of pumpkins, you know, so this might be a background for pumpkins. Who knows? Wax paper, when you put it on, you want to make sure that you do not have any straight edges, because they really look gross. You know, the straight edge around it just doesn't work. So wax paper, you wad it up. And I have found that the cheaper the wax paper, the better. I like Dollar Generals, both of them. The, you know, the good stuff, the cut right or whatever it's called, that's really expensive, doesn't work very well. But that's kind of a background that you can do. Now I will let this dry. And I didn't bring. This is watercolor, so it should come off if we want to wipe the tables down. I think it'll be okay.
You want me to lay it flat where the...
Yeah, why don't you do that? There you go. So that's just kind of a demo. I don't know what I will do with that. With the horses, I had an idea. With these, I wanted Payne's gray. I wanted the cerulean blue. I wanted the white in here, you know, so. And today, I did a couple last night. I don't know which one I'll use. But I'll start with this one. Okay, so this one was done last night. And now you'll be able to see when I take this off. My grandkids love. You know what we did one time, if you've got grandkids, is we did this. And it's so simple, you know, I mean, even an 8-year-old can do this. And what we did is that we made placemats for Thanksgiving. And I had them put people's names in it in like a resist, you know, and they used it with those colored wax pencils and wrote the people's names in it, and then we did this and then pulled it off. They just love doing stuff like that. But anyway, you can see, here, and I'll just pass this one around. It's dry. You can see it up close.
So you had like a paper placemat?
No, I used those as placemats. Then we covered it over with clear plastic wrap, you know, not plastic wrap, but
Stick-on stuff,
Mhm.
laminated.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of fun. I've done this in Costa Rica at missions, you know, because it's really easy, it's fun, and if you're just learning, if you've got somebody, what I like about this, you know, and my bio is that I love to get people interested in their creative side, you know, and they go, oh, I can't draw a stick figure, you know, well, okay, I can't draw one either, you know, well, I can draw a stick figure, but it doesn't, you know, some people can really draw these amazing stick figures, but, you know, not me. But anyway, so this is a real easy process to let them be successful in a creative process. So I just took these pictures in Tennessee because they actually had flowers blooming when I was there. Aren't they pretty? They were just gorgeous, and they were along this big, long picket fence. It was really pretty. So I thought I might try that. Here's this one. I did it in the pinks, thinking maybe, we'll see how this one works too.
Are those, contacts you're taking off?
Yeah, they're push pins. I've tried it with tape, but tape just doesn't want to stick when you put a lot of water on it. So there's that. So, you know, what I do, 11 by 17, you can do 8 by 10. You can even do bigger ones. But the problem with doing the really big ones is they want to put it on really thick paper, and you really want it on the thinnest paper you possibly can get. So this is 25 pound, it's not 28. And I got it done at Staples. It's 11 by 17. So they're just pictures like that.
What kind of printer did
It was Staples.
you print? Oh, they printed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's like $1 or something for, you know, a big print like this. But then I start cutting out, and the more detailed you can get in cutting out, the more realistic it's going to look. I've had friends that have done this, you know, and then they'll just do a square, you know, or something and put it on, and it's like, okay, that's nice, but let's get a little bit more detailed. So I like to go in and take, you know, some of the insides out so that when I put it on, you know, it looks like the background is seeing through. The other thing I like about this is sometimes, you know, when you do a watercolor or you do something like this and then you start painting over top of it, it comes through. It's transparent and it comes through, and you really don't want that. So I have taken just white paper, cut it out in the pattern that I want, and then put it on here and then paint on top of the watercolor paper too, so that I have a white surface. I have never tried, you know, using like gesso or something like that. I don't know, maybe that would work too. But what do you think? Should I do it on that one? Or this one? Okay. Okay. So you can kind of see. I don't like doing squares just because I don't think it's natural, you know, when you do a painting. But we'll see how it turns out. You can see how easy it can be for someone who's just starting. This picture here is a friend of mine's little girl. I call it Making of an Angel. Can you see this?
where's the little girl?
Sure.
Did you do that with the horses?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You got a picture of the horses?
Yep.
Cool.
I have a son that lives in Colorado. You know, so they have all kinds of fun things in Colorado. Here, you can pass this around too if you like. These are my granddaughters. This was at my son's wedding. You know, and so actually it's not this, but I call this Two Girls on a Journey. And when I had this posted at our church, I had this one lady come up to me, and she was just well, I came up to her because she was standing in front of this painting and she was crying. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And she goes, "This reminds me so much of me and my sister, and I haven't talked to her in years." So she went home and she called her sister. See what art can do? It can strike so much emotion inside of you. You know, it brings healing. It can bring inspiration. There's that one. This one here also is this. Now this, I'll pass around. This I actually drew on as an experiment and used colored pencils. But if I get a good picture like these horses or this or, you know, some of this other stuff, I'll use it over and over again, you know.
And each one will be different.
They all, because the backgrounds will be different. Uh-huh.
Now, the horses, did you mask them out?
No, no, I cut them out. Just like this, I went and I had it printed, and then I cut them out and put them on.
Did you know where your light, I mean, was that all dark? How did you keep your lights and darks on your background?
Well, that I knew what I wanted.
Okay.
And so I spray painted it the way that I wanted it.
Okay.
Where is this one? What did I do with that? Oh, it's probably passing around somewhere. No, it's not that one, but it's the dark blue one. Anyway, but you can tell, and you can, and with, I use white gouache, you know, so that it kind of overlooks it. Like in order to get the pinks in here, I used the white gouache, which mixed with the red, and it kind of made it pinkish.
After you painted or pasted the horses on, did you spray on top of them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, not only that, I took Payne's Gray and I swatched it with color, which I'm going to do down here. I'm going to take dark green, you know, and kind of make it so it's just not, what I like to do, yeah, I like to bring the background into the foreground. You know, so I'll bring some of this pink. I might pick out like a color here and use, I like, these work really good, ink tints, watercolor pencils. You know, they're really good. They're really intense. And so I can color over this green with the pink, you know, and maybe put some in the background and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so the next thing I do, you guys okay? Yes, yes.
Like the photographs on here look real grainy. Are they sharp photographs to start with?
You know, I printed that one off on mine, on my printer, which was not a really good printer.
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very grainy, almost like it's got some kind of filter on it.
Yeah, what it is just the regular photograph, which I used like 72% to 72 DPIs.
Oh, okay.
You know, real low DPI.
Yeah.
And so that makes it kind of fuzzy a little bit.
Yeah.
But then when you start painting over top of it, it really brings out the, you know, brings it out into a real painting. It looks painterly and not a photograph, if that makes sense. Oh, here it is. Here's the blue. See. Actually, my grandson did this one. So he wanted to give horses to his horsey grandma. All right, so I just use just a regular brush. I'm not real particular about the brushes. I use matte medium. I've used gloss, it doesn't work. I like the matte because I can paint over top of it. It's clear, and so when I paint over top, it will allow me to have a base too, to be able to put watercolor onto. So I use matte medium. I do have gel out here, but I like the medium better. So I use it as glue. I don't know whether I am
You didn't finish your thought. You don't know what?
I don't know what to say.
I thought it was going to be.
So profound, right? No.
Key to the whole thing.
Yeah, one sentence sums it up.
Yes. Thank you for having me here. I love doing this. I love getting people new ways of doing art. I do watercolor, and I do it very detailed. That seems to be the way that I really like to do watercolor. I'm starting into oil right now. I found an amazing oil teacher. Of course, the lady that you had last time, Linda Pauley, she taught me for 3 years. Started with pastel, and then we went into oil. But there's a lady in North Carolina, her name is Jenny Buckner. She's won many awards. And do we have any oil painters in here? I discovered a new paint. It's called transparent orange. Has anybody ever heard of it? Oh, get it.
Where did you get the idea to use that cotton?
Trish McKinney. She uses it. If you look at Trish McKinney's stuff, she uses it a lot. Okay, so I've painted the whole background, on the back. Pull it off. Oops, we lost a flower, but that's okay. We can do that. See, and he even got ickied, but it's going to be okay. It'll be just fine.
You're trying to put the brayer people out of business,
Yeah.
The what people?
the brayer.
Oh, yeah, I should have brought my brayer for this, but can't remember everything. We're getting ready to move to Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
My husband got on an auction, land auction site last fall, picked up 20 acres on a lake. You should see the view we're going to have. It's amazing. My other two sons were on the same auction, and they picked up another 20 acres on the lake beside us. And we're building a house down there. We're going to sell our house and build and move.
What lake is it on?
It's on it's by Cookeville, and it's Center Hill Lake. And the reason I like it so much is that it is not an Ohio lake. You know what Ohio lakes are like? They're brown and they're green. This one here it's a rock bottom lake. When you get out on it, you can see way down deep. And we're just going to have an amazing view. And my grandchildren are down there. My son is down there. My other son from Colorado is moving down there. So,
Family-owned place.
pardon?
Family-owned place.
Yeah, we're going to call it Roe Ridge. Actually, we're going to call it Traveler's Rest. Traveler's Rest. If you're a history buff, that is the Lewis and Clark. So all this week I've been cleaning and sorting and probably going to have a big garage sale with art material. Okay, so I like to paint over the whole thing. See how it comes out? Now if you use,
What do you paint over, using paint over it? I missed that.
oh, it's matte medium.
That, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that,
So, doing this, that's why you really don't need thick paper. You want it really thin. Otherwise, it puts, puts lines. It puts, but this matte medium, if you get it good enough, it would kind of smooths it out. So it's kind of like wallpaper paste, There. See?
is that right out of the bottle?
Yes, right out of the bottle. I use water to kind of do it. Okay. Do, 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 do. I am such a good demo person, aren't I? I could have the hair, like,
Bring a hairdryer.
yeah. Well, yeah, I could. But I can't think of those things. I used to be able to. I used to be so prepared. Anybody else like that anymore? Can't do it. Okay, so here we go. So isn't that pretty? Doesn't that look nice? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some dark colors now and kind of, let's try this. Let's see what happens. Of course, you have to kind of let it dry, which is a bummer, but let's use this.
Could you use a sponge to kind
Yeah, you could if you want. You can do anything you want. You can use the scouring pad. I've actually used, that metal scouring pad stuff for trees and things like that, bushes. And it's all a part about having fun and being creative at the same time. See, I want some dark down here at the bottom so it doesn't really show the... See how it's coming along a little bit? If I hadn't been cleaning my house all week, moving my studio, I would have had this one done for you guys, but, so we can kind of, here, real quick, see?
When it dries, does that do the ruffles, and does that straighten out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it'll straighten out flat as a board. Just, no. I've taped it. So I tape it all the way around so it gives it that, yeah. See, I kind of like that dark down at the bottom, don't you? Because it kind of, it anchors it. That's a good point, yeah, see? All right. So now, let's work on the flowers that I've messed up here. You know what I just got? And I'm going to try. A friend of mine gave me these. Have you guys seen these? They're supposed to be watercolor pens. We'll see how it works. Oh. Yeah, they're watercolor pens.
They're already filled?
They're filled with the color. Let's try this one.
That was a nice friend.
I just paint over the paper.
Are those watercolor pens bleeding into the wet paper?
No. They're really nice.
Where did you put it?
The dark spot right there. Oh boy, am I messy.
Is that dry then, what you're doing? Yeah, it's dry, that's why it's not bleeding. So if you did it down there in the wet, it would bleed.
Probably. But what I want to do is kind of accent. I really want it to look like a painting, so I'm just using the background as the shadows and stuff in the...
So now to enter those in a show, would you enter them in mixed media? Or?
Yes, it has to be mixed media. Yeah, and they let me enter one, actually, this one here, in a watercolor show. That was way early on. That was years ago. So I don't know what I really don't enter them very much just because of what they are. They're more fun to do. They speak to the subject matter that I'm doing. Yeah, I kind of like these.
Like a spongy tip?
No, it's a brush. They're Artesia. Here, I'll pass one around.
They are. Huh. That's really
Yeah.
neat.
A friend of mine just gave it to me. She said, here, I got you these. I'm like, okay.
Generous gift.
Well, I wasn't really excited about it. Well, I excited about it because of all the colors.
Who makes them?
Arteza or something. But when I started to doing just a regular watercolor, it's kind of weird. Because you have all these colors, you know, it's not the same. But something like this, it works, yeah, it works really good on this. I kind of like it. But I'll show you how I do these too. Now this you can just use as like a,
Is that a watercolor pen?
this is a watercolor pencil.
Oh, pencil, okay.
Uh-huh.
Are you mixing that in with the watercolor
Sure,
brush thing and they're blending?
sure. Yeah, they are. It's working pretty good. But these act more like watercolors. This is good for, I think I'm going to work with this and probably end up really liking it. But, you know, I really want to put some of this color into my background here. Just because it'll make it more continuity, you know, I don't know, I can't remember words anymore.
Do you know where she got those watercolors?
Online?
Online.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if those pens that you just got are light fast? I couldn't find it on
I have no idea.
the pen, so.
I doubt it. I can't imagine Artesia having something good, do you?
Well, that's problematic if you sell your artwork
Yeah, that's really true.
with the permanence.
Yeah, the permanent of it.
And the other thing.
These are.
The other thing that concerns me, because a lot of these ladies do sell their work professionally, and that is that if you're using these images, it may be copyrighted.
This is my image.
Well, this is your image. Where did the flower pick? Did you take the picture?
Oh, yeah.
What about the figures?
Yeah, it's mine.
Those were your, okay.
I don't
No
use
problem.
anything that I haven't taken myself.
Well, then you're in good shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
I learned, learned that early on.
Where'd you find those horses?
I said, my son lives out west, so they have wild horse farms.
So you actually, that was a photograph that you put on there, the whole thing? All the horses?
Mm-hmm.
Her son gave it.
Amazon has the pen. But I mean, to find.
Amazon has the pens. Does it say it's light? Look and see if it's light fast. That's a good point. I know that these ink tints are. Have you ever used ink tints? I really like them as far as a watercolor pencil. They are, they really, they're DeWitt.
But in the norm, you put the watercolor pencil on there and then you just,
Yeah, just like I'm doing now.
a little water on it. That's just plain water.
Yeah, it's just plain water.
Well, that's cool. Move a little.
Okay, so you see I'm adding a little bit of the color in the background. And I use the watercolor pencils up here. And I find that these are pigmented enough that they actually they'll work. And I can put them over top of things if I want to.
Turn it this way.
See up here I added some color. No, oh. I'll take this home and I'll set it up and I'll look at it. You know how you do.
Oh, yeah, you wait.
You wait until it dries and you go, I didn't paint that, did I? Have you ever found that it looks better?
Look at it in the mirror.
Yeah, or taking a photograph. I found that,
I do, yeah. It helps me a lot. see it with different.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to add a lighter color, would you use an acrylic or a?
She added the lighter pink of the water.
No, I,
Or the dark? I mean, if you needed to add a lighter color over those dark, what would you use?
probably a gouache, you know, yeah, something like that. I don't know, let's try. Hey. Let's try a yellow and see what happens. Or
After you use your watercolor pencils, do you wet that then?
oh yes, yeah. I you know, color like crayons, you know, and then.
And then wet with a wet paintbrush
Mm-hmm.
over it?
That doesn't work. Let's try.
Since it's mixed media, you could use a watered down acrylic.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
That would be okay.
Okay, this Inktense White is working quite well.
But weren't you saying those are a little more intense than your normal watercolor pencils?
Yeah, they are. They're actually ink. You know, the watercolor ink.
Yeah.
See now, I don't know whether you can see this or not, but the white Inktense, it does cover over.
Oh, you did the highlights down there?
Uh-huh. Yeah, let's see what happens when we water it. See, you guys could do much better than this. Yeah. I know some of you can. But anyway, so there's kind of a, I don't know how much time I have left, but
I like that highlight.
yeah.
That really added a lot.
So, you know, this is what you could do. I'm going to do another one with probably these flowers and maybe do a double. That's kind of why I did the double one here, you know, so that I get the same background. Now, you can totally transform, you know, I could start out with this, and I can use these Inktense colors and change the whole background. And I love using sometimes like yellow coming back down in here, and then I'll put rays of light that comes down. And I've already got the pattern because of the webbing, yeah. So, any other questions?
Marcella?
Yes.
I was just going to tell you, I bought some of those Arteza
Yeah.
watercolor pens because I'm addicted to all art supplies.
Yeah.
to feed my addiction.
Yes.
But I didn't care for them. So I mailed them to my granddaughter, who's a wonderful little artist in North Carolina, and she sends me back pictures of these glorious flowers she painted with them. So then I bought another set for myself.
Yeah, but they are weird. If you're a watercolorist, they don't work like you paint them.
Like what you used to.
Yeah.
They will blend. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. But if they're light fast, you know, it'd be really fun.
Yeah, they're brilliant color and they will blend.
But I'd love to know did anybody find out if they're light fast?
It does not say on, I looked carefully, it does not say on the brush.
No, I went to the website.
So they're probably not.
They usually will say it because it's important to artists, yeah. It'll say it somewhere.
It doesn't matter anyway.
They're not terribly expensive.
That's another indication.
The thing you cut out is not light fast anyway.
But it tends, when I put the matte medium over top, it holds up. Yeah, you know, so.
When it's
dry, you paint all over with that medium?
I painted the whole thing. I use matte medium underneath as glue, and then I paint over top of the whole thing.
That's your finish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've had some of these paintings, gosh, for years that I've done with matte medium, and it seems to hold up pretty good. So.
Several years ago, Mary Ann Beckwith
Yes.
came to Fairborn and did the whole demo on this. We hadn't even seen it before. And if you look at her work online, you'll see some of it in the background. She starts off with the webbing, and then she just starts obscuring a lot of it. And she does some beautiful abstracts, but if you want to look her up, it's Mary Ann Beckwith.
Yeah, I didn't get into her class.
Oh, it was wonderful. We were outside with things dripping everywhere. It was so fun.
Yeah, I know, I tried. I've been to Chung-Chi Kee. Do you know what he told me?
What?
I went there to learn to paint koi, okay? So it comes down to the point that, okay, this is the day we're gonna paint koi. So he teaches us to pour. I think he's been to, you guys probably have had him. Yeah, he teaches you to pour onto like a 300-pound hot pressed, and then you take a big paintbrush and you start lifting them off. So I'm so excited. I've got my thing all pointed, and I'm getting ready, and I'm doing my fish, and he's coming around to everybody. He looks at me and he says, "You not know fish. Paint what you know. They're dead." All mine were belly up, and he was right. Okay. So, you know, and I haven't painted fish since. I paint what I know, which is...
Turn the picture upside down.
So I paint my grandchildren. I know them, you know, and I find it is important to paint what you know, of what you experience. When you go out west, you know, my kids will send me pictures of Moab. Well, I haven't been to Moab, but when I can go to Moab and I can experience it, then there's something about the atmosphere that is still inside of me, and then I can paint a picture. But it's really, I don't know whether, I've done a couple, gosh, I can't think of the name, you know, where people pay you to paint pictures.
Oh,
Commissions. And they're so hard to do because you don't know them, you know? But yeah, I can paint my kids because I know who they are. I know I experience them. So I think it's really important to even take photographs. You know, this here, I probably will paint this someday because those pink tulips at the beginning of March in Tennessee, when nothing was even green up here, meant something to me, made me smile. You know, so when I start painting something that I have experienced, then, you know, I can put that experience into it. So, any other questions? Am I doing okay on time, or?
It's 25 after 11.
So I don't know how long I have.
At least a quarter till.
Oh, 25, oh, okay. I thought I was done. So.
Different people take different amounts of time.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to, can you see now it doesn't look like a photograph?
Right.
Your highlights on the stems just change the whole thing. On the leaves, yeah.
On the leaves. And that was done with this white.
It just made it look, it does not look like a photograph.
Yeah.
It's a dimension.
And you know what I'm doing is that there's already highlights there. I'm just accenting them. So that's why somebody that's just kind of new, like if you want to do this with your grandchildren, if they're kind of new, I mean, can you see how successful? And then they're going, oh wow, I can actually do this. Somebody who wants to do their grandchild, you know, cut it out. Put it onto a background. Bring the background into the foreground, and look what you have. I mean, you'd have something like, I don't know what happened to them.
So you actually cut out your granddaughters to put in there then?
Yeah,
They look painted.
that's my photograph. That was a wedding.
But I just meant they look painted. They look.
Yeah, well, it looks painted because I used paint over top of them. So you actually can see the paint marks when you do that.
Texture.
The textures of them.
Here's another
Is
one.
this the picture you're looking for?
Well, no, but this one here is not, I did not cut and glue. I just drew it and then and used, this is all colored pencil on a watercolor background. That's what this is. You know, so. But do the backgrounds, you know, have fun. Go for it. Just.
Did you want to be done, Marcia?
Well, I don't know anything else to do. Call it a day. You guys want to come pour some or something?
We all want to, we want to thank Marcella for her time.
You know, I'm so used to doing things in like an hour or just really short time that I don't know how to stay long anymore. So.